Call the meeting to order. Let's please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to approve the agenda for February 12th, 2026, with the members of the committee reserving the right to add to the agenda and to take further action in the district's best interest.
So moved.
I'll second it. All in favor? Aye. I don't know how
Aye.
she's. So, a recommendation for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 4th, 2025.
So moved.
Rebecca, can you try speaking?
I am speaking. Can you hear me?
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Are you guys able to hear me?
It was working last night because our engineer was on last night.
I'm just gonna-
I hear you, but I guess you can't hear me.
She was. She's not muted. She's just not coming.
It's just not coming through. Okay. Okay, our items for discussion for today.
All right, thank you. So we're going to start tonight with some presentations from some of our elementary school teachers who have been working diligently all year on their SPMs. And we just wanted to let the committee know about some of the great things that are taking place in our classrooms. So we will start off with the group from East Stroudsburg Elementary Kindergarten.
Excellent.
And can we project on these TVs what I'm projecting? Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
How are we?
We are wonderful. How are you?
Thank you for doing this for
Well,
us.
thank you for your interest in our structured play notebook. It came about as a result of the district offering us a structured play time in our classroom time, which we were blown away because we have witnessed throughout the years the behaviors that have escalated in our classrooms. The students come into the classrooms, they don't have an understanding of how to work, play together. And then they're told, all right, guys, let's jump in and learn math and science and social studies and sit and, follow our directions. They don't know how to communicate with each other. They're perfect strangers to each other. And now they're told, well, you're going to sit next to that person and you're going to, spend the next 7.5 hours together. So when we got the go ahead to have the structured play, we discussed how we would have to structure it in such a way that it would be meaningful for the students. We needed to organize it. None of that had been, put into play. So we thought, how can we do it? I will say, honestly, COVID taught me a lot. Like when I have to organize things, Google Slides is my go-to. So we got together and we determined how would we structure that. We wanted to incorporate into our program the fact that it is research-based. We know that, structured play is an important part of the children's lives, and they have to be taught how to do it. We wanted to inform the parents, like, hey, a lot of times parents will come to us and they will say, we don't know how to handle this with our child. And we want to inform them that this is something we're going to take on in our classroom, how we're going to do it, why we're going to do it. We have recognized that the value of this program since our conception, us creating it, implementing it has made a valuable difference in our classroom. We don't have anyone, constant, on speed dial coming to our rooms. We're able to manage whatever other behaviors come about as a result of us implementing how we're rolling out our day. So we are thrilled and delighted that we were given this opportunity because we've seen the benefits that have come out of it, teaching them the skills that they need to exist with each other, with ourselves, and then they can take that home with them and know how to handle themselves there as well. Let me show you. Parent, no.
Yeah, well, it's like a link in there.
Yeah, so the parent note, as I mentioned, does explain to the parents what our goals are, how we can go about achieving that, and how it can benefit them at home. So it's really explained in detail the different components of that.
So we first start off with role playing. So we gather students as a whole group and go around to different stations, such as the kitchen, making sure that students are able to serve food and really partake in that restaurant capabilities. And then we go into the baby dolls on how to, babysit and take care of different younger kids. And then we go into showing different videos. So making sure that they have that visual, hearing it in a different voice, a different setting. And then we do have read aloud books. So making sure that students are exposed to different vocabulary, bringing in that comprehension piece and being exposed. And then we go into our observation. So making sure that we are always walking around, checking in with student behavior, engagement, making sure that they are taking on that role.
And as Gabby had mentioned, the engagement part, having the books, having the videos, it's the follow-up of what we're doing, and they're able to link that all together.
So moving forward next year, as we're creating and implementing everything, we've found some modifications we want to make to everything. We started this year with a student survey that we gave them back in October, I believe. We're just going to be finishing up now in February, as we've been creating and doing at the same time this year. But it's going to be interesting to see the kids' responses to everything we've been doing in the classroom. Next year, we're also looking at adding in some of the CASEL standards as they are available to our program, and also looking at different observation sheets. The one we started with was just a little bit too much to be doing while everything's going on.
Overzealous.
It looked good in the beginning, so a bit of a revision there. And then, what else? There was one more. CASEL standards. Did I hit them all?
Yeah, you did them all. Yep. Here you go.
So it's been very exciting for the kids. I will say, it was a breath of fresh air when Marilyn came in the beginning of the year and said, you choose what you want to do for your SPM. And this was something brand new for us. And it was like, what can we do with this time? So next year, we also want to share out, once we are completely done and revised, with the entire kindergarten team. So it's a resource that everyone needs.
Excellent, great. I would love to see the student survey responses when you're done. I can just imagine it would be.
And they were pretty honest.
Oh,
in the
sure. That's what
beginning.
I'm saying.
They are.
Definitely. They most definitely are.
But if you look, like, the kids, they love listening. We broke down into, that was the other thing I wanted to say. We broke down into 12 different skills. I'm going forward, I want to go back. So each month we hit 3 different skills. After doing it, we want to revamp and restructure how that looks for next year. What should be prioritized in the beginning of the year, and then what can wait till a little bit later.
And then during observations, we of course make sure that they are hitting these skills, and then if not, like revisiting them and showing more videos and books.
And they use the terminologies that we use, so we know that they're getting it.
Fantastic.
Really great.
Incredibly impressive.
Mhm.
Thank you for doing this for our
Thank
students.
you.
Thank you.
Before you ladies sit down,
Yeah, we just-
would you mind also telling me your names? Like I recognize some of you, but I like to know who you all are.
Karen Buechler, Gabrielle Lynn, and Julia Blake.
Thank you so much. Is this happening only at ESC or is this?
So structured play is throughout the district.
Mhm.
So when we talk to the different buildings, we hear what, different things that they're doing. And when we discuss the fact that we are looking to create our, notebook, they're excited for that opportunity to share it along with us.
Excellent, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Mhm, mhm.
All right, and now we will welcome our first grade cohort from Bushkill Elementary.
Hi, my name is Debbie Osborne. I've been here forever. And this is Brandy Mitchell and Brixton Kemmer. Yes, I've been here for about two. I just wanted to speak about the SPM process a little bit. Our SPM is on math back safe. And I love that when Marilyn came to us, we were able to choose our own adventure. And the importance of that, as I'm learning, is so important. Because of so much we have to do, We have to do this, have to do this. This is something that we get to pick too. And we are trusted with our own autonomy to look at things and say, oh, this is a problem on this. How can we fix this problem? And the problem that I noticed first with my students this year was the concept of subitizing. That's looking at a flashcard and saying, like a dice and saying, oh, there's 5 dots here. There's 2 dots here. There's 7 dots here. And my kids at the beginning of the year weren't able to do that. And that's kind of a problem with building math fluency, building sense of numbers. And that started the thing. And then Marilyn came in and said, oh, you could pick your own adventure. That's the way I like it.
It's a great way to frame it. I might feel it's fantastic.
And that's what I thought of, and I appreciate that. And so then at the same time, I'm researching math, and it's like, oh, and I keep been hearing 4th grade, 3rd grade, the kids don't know the math facts. The kids don't know the math facts. The kids don't know the math facts. So I found a program online that has subitizing cards that are adding and subtracting. So we turned the idea of our kids are going to be fluent in adding and subtracting by the end of the year, and we turned into the SPM.
So what they do is noticed that they use their fingers, they need manipulatives. They're not able to just do it automatic. So the automaticity was the key for us at this point. So we did do a pre-survey because they didn't seem engaged. They weren't excited about math at all. It was one of those, they would come in, they would look at it, they would become overwhelmed with the worksheets or the papers or the book. So we had to do something, and having that option of doing something was really nice. So what we did was we had the cards. First off, we gave them the survey. We came back to see what can we do. Then from there, we went to giving them a pre-test just to see where they fell number-wise. And then we matched up their cards to what level they were at. So then we color-coded those cards to make it easier for the kids because we wanted them to be automatic and be able for them to be engaging in the activity independently. So we have a timer that sets, it's almost like a Google slide timer.
It's so nice to see the students take ownership.
Yeah.
Like Matt came in and it's like, I just press go. And they go, they find their spots, they sit in their circle. When the timer's over, they stop, they pass their cards to the next group. At the last slide is a 1-minute cleanup slide. They all clean up, put everything away, and they're ready for math. So it literally takes maybe 5 minutes. Yep,
And
all.
that's what the objective of it was for them to be able to grab their cards independently. They grab them for their partners. You see the excitement on their face now because they're getting it. I had one little boy still on green. That's the first level. And he today finally passed got his 20 problems, and he's like, and you see that they're excited. You see that we call, stepping into the math world because they use math terminology. They have to use their math cards. They have to use their math words, and they really get excited now. And it's nice to see.
I think the biggest piece for me is that even if the kids aren't getting it, they have the picture to help them too. So it's even differentiated within the groups as well. And that was the piece that I enjoyed the most, because you have those kids that still struggle, but they have tools to succeed regardless. And that was the biggest part.
And you don't see them counting the dots.
Yeah.
If they don't count the dots, they look at it and they sometimes they automatically know it. The higher they go, because we're going pretty high, it gets a little more challenging for them, but they're still, they work through it. To see them work through it on their own without asking us for assistance is even better.
And like kindergarten, we talked about, oh, what are we gonna do different next year? So like, we're already thinking, we brought them all through addition, and then we're going back to subtraction, but next year we're going to do every other we do. Addition to 5, subtraction of 5, addition to 10, subtraction of 10. And then if they get higher, it's even better. So we're hoping it transfers to the older
And we're
grades.
working on the transferring part, because we've noticed that with the cards, they're not necessarily applying it to the paper part. So we're working on, oh, maybe once a cycle we work on the paper part, and then once a cycle we do it on computer, just to give them different exposure to everything.
We have the home connection piece as well. I mean, we let the parents know, we discussed it with them. We sent cards home with the children to use at home. So you can tell right away who uses them at home and who's not using them at home. And some of the kids actually do it independently on their own without parents like, oh no, they just do them on their own after they do their homework. So I mean, they're actually using it at home as well. So that's a good thing to see.
Great.
Fantastic.
Really great.
Thank
so
you.
much.
And for our last group, we have our fourth grade teachers from Bushkill Elementary.
Bushkill's represented tonight.
Yeah.
Wait, he brought you a dinner, I had to buy him dinner.
It was like pay it forward.
Oh, okay, there you go.
My name is Jen Pierce and I am from Bushville, and I've been here 22 years and never in front of the board. So it's vanity. And
Beth English, and this is my 21st year. And public speaking is not my thing.
It's all right.
It's not really public, it's just us.
Yeah.
I know, but there's cameras and.
so we were very excited to solve a problem that I think has been a challenge for educators for a long time. And that is to try to create a love of reading in our students, because as technology has taken hold, you know, as print resources are maybe not available in people's homes anymore. And while their moms and dads might be reading a lot online, they're not necessarily reading a book. So the disconnect has been huge for a long time. And reading, as we know, filters into all parts of our lives. So it's so important for all learning, and you don't have background knowledge, vocabulary, comprehension, all sorts of things. So it really had gone by the wayside. And years ago when we started, we would have an SSR time and a lot of kids would read, and it was a lovely time. And as the years went on, that time became a place where we were like police officers, like, you better be reading your book. You better read. And it was it became a really poor use of instructional time. It was a wasted time. It was kids that love reading, and kids that were pretending they like reading, staring at a book. So when Marilyn came and let us choose our own adventure, we were totally pumped about it, because Beth and I are both readers. And so we thought, like, what if we try to bring a love of reading back into their lives and reintroduce it in a way that took some of the pressure off and some of the things that were off-putting for kids about reading, and brought the joy of reading back. So
like Jen said, we're readers. We love to read, and our whole team was on board with this. And so at first we had like so many ideas, right? Just like everybody else, we're gonna do this, and we're like, we can't do that. So we decided to like, just
But it was doing it on
yeah. And then we thought, are we gonna set it up for failure? So this is how it's structured in our classroom. We all do teacher read aloud. We all pick a different read aloud, and usually the kids love it. So we start with our teacher read aloud in our classrooms. I did not bring that. I'm reading Wonder right now, which they love. I don't know if it's a Red Wonder. And they get their folder. So in their folder, Actually, let me backtrack. We also did a survey, just like everybody else, with how they felt about reading. And that's in here as well. We started with the survey to get their feeling on reading, and then we revisited the same survey in January to see if anything has changed, and
And it has.
it has. Yeah, it really has, like truthfully has.
Yes.
The kids get excited, like, oh, it's reading time. So when it's our teacher read aloud, they get a journal. And I actually brought one of my little girls' journal. In here, we do different skills. Sometimes they can just draw. You know, they can draw what they're hearing, what they're thinking, they can visualize, right? We're trying to connect. Sometimes we ask them to make a connection or write down a word that you heard. So it's very different as we are reading what we're looking for, but it's still relaxed. They're still listening to a story. They're up on the carpet. When that time is up, they get their own. They have a reading log with the date and the book. So some kids are reading a chapter book. It's taking weeks. Some kids are reading a sports book. You know, I had a kid reading a comic. I don't care what you're reading as long as you're reading. So they can spread around the room. During the week, we track if they're engaged. And that's kind of something else we need to look at for next year, because how do we really know they're engaged? So we walk around, we take a look. We are also reading, just so you know, we're modeling. Sometimes it's the work we might have to read with somebody in a book, but we are reading. And they see that. So they get different rewards, right? So on Friday, Jen's daughter's in 4th grade, and they did flashlight Friday. So they love it. They have little flashlight lights. They turn the lights down. They get underneath the desk. It's safe. And they love it. They
And
love
we
it.
stole that from her teacher.
Yes,
My daughter's teacher.
yes. They can bring in their stuffy to read. So we're trying to make it fun and engaging. Our big goal at the end of the year is to create, to take our readers and make them authors, which we have done in the past without really connecting it to anything. So in the past, we did a book because my son at Chipperfield, he wrote a book and it was super awesome in Student Treasures. So we're going to be having them take their love of reading and then hopefully transferring it to, yeah, right.
And it has really worked. I have to honestly say, some of my most reluctant readers
Absolutely.
ask about reading. You know, and that is a win, you know, for sure, when it comes to reading. It's been a huge challenge for years and years, so it's exciting. for
It is
sure.
exciting, and it's a really nice time for us because it's right before lunch, so we just kind of get to sit, read, it's quiet, regroup.
It's a sacred time too, like everybody respects it and, you know, realizes that it's time to get settled, get your book in.
I forgot to share this as well. See, this is why I don't speak in front of them. Okay, so the other thing we do is a book review. So in the beginning, when we talked about reading, we went on and showed them like Amazon book reviews. What's a 4-star? What's a 3-star? So we kind of talked about that. So if they don't, it's their choice, but if you come into Bushdale, you'll see coming down the hall, they will write the title, the author, why they're rating it. So you don't have to give it 5 stars. You might have hated it. They don't have to stick with the book. So if you don't like it, change your book. We want you to love what you're reading. And then a little picture. So, excuse me, they love it. So
We also had conversations about choosing a book that is appropriate for them, that feels really good and is comfortable, like not a book that you're trudging through, you know, and so they're making, I see the growth in my kids making good choices at the library and picking books that are, so. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. I think it's so important. I mean, thank you first, all of you, for sharing. And as one of you said, it's the first time doing it in front of the board. And, you know, this was, you know, one of our goals when, you know, I came on board and then as we got new people, new administrators, that we really want to see as a board what is going on in the classroom. You know, one, it helps us, obviously, you know, as we're moving forward. But it also, as you said, you know, we're being recorded, you know, and such. And so sometimes I'll ask a question, even if I know the answer to it, just so that it's answered for the community to hear it. Like obviously before that it wasn't only happening in ESE, you know, because it's important for the community to see what is happening in our schools and how wonderful our teachers are. You know, we know that you're the strength of the district, and it's so important for the community to see that as well, and that it's happening in all of our schools in so many different ways. And of course, being a former English teacher, you know, I'm just looking at the language part, and we did, you know, silent reading as well. in the high school for time and same reason, how to let it go, because it just wasn't there. So to get this love of reading, and so wonderful to say, if you don't like the book, put it down, do something else, because they're just learning language, and later on when they're, as the years go on, more forced, if you will, to read books that are in the curriculum that they may not like, at least they have the skills and hopefully have such an appreciation of language, and that they would pick up, the reading on their own, for joy, so to speak, as opposed to, other kinds of reading. So, but thank you, all of you, for coming and giving of your time and talent. It's really so much appreciated. And Marilyn too, I have to say.
So before you leave,
Yeah.
hold on,
Yeah.
we're not done. Um, when we started, we looked at elementary and really felt that elementary teachers were turned into robots and didn't have the autonomy to make decisions as educators. It was something we immediately identified and felt we needed to pivot. So thank you for embodying what we're trying to embrace and showing your passion. Teaching is an art and a science. The science is the program and the curriculum. The art is what you just did. So please know we appreciate the initiative, the effort that you're doing, truly, and we hope that you have found a love for what you got into this a few years ago or a few decades ago for some of us. I taught with both of you, so I know how long that is. But truly, it is inspiring and it is reassuring to us to know that you have found that passion and that you have this excitement. So thank you for doing this for the students and the families of our community.
For sure. And thanks to Marilyn also for, really, coming aboard.
No, you're welcome. Thank you to the teachers. I want to point out too, the principals are here as well, Matt Stowski and Christina Smoke. And I said from the beginning, this paradigm shift, this mindset shift about the SPM only works if the principals are on board.
Correct.
And they are. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank all of you. Yeah, for coming. It really means a lot.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you. Now
Thank
go
you.
home and have a good night.
Yes.
We have another full day tomorrow.
Yeah.
No. Good try.
Yeah, I know, thank God.
All right.
Thanks, man. Yep.
All right, so next we have this month's EPR newsletter, and I would like to point out that we are welcoming Dr. Long into the Curriculum Instruction Office
Yeah.
officially as of Wednesday.
As of Wednesday.
So we're extremely happy.
Andy, can I interrupt you for a sec? Rebecca has her hand raised.
I
was
know.
just told.
That's right. It's-
So her question is are they memorizing math facts? Are we able to figure out why we can't hear her?
I've been speaking.
To that question, they're not memorizing math facts. They are practicing math facts until they are becoming more automatic to the students.
Right, so it's fluency, Rebecca, and that's really what we're focused on, is that they automatically know those numbers and the answers to addition and subtraction.
All right, and so we're going to move on then, to our EPR newsletter.
Hold on.
Okay. Our newsletter.
So this month in the EPR newsletter, in the beginning is all of the pieces of our comprehensive plan, which I will be presenting once we get to the end. And it also was a highlight of our SPM mid-year check-in. And finally, we do have some updates on our 5th grade spelling bee competition.
So I'll share a little bit. So we chose to highlight our 5th grade spelling bee, but on the same day that we held our round 1 for the elementary, we also held our spelling bees for the intermediate level. So we had 5 top spellers and 1 alternate from each grade level move on to our round 2, which was just held this week. So we'll get those names over to the committee to see who has moved on for that. So we have our top 5 plus 2 alternates that are moving on. And round 3 is going to be here at JTL at 7 p.m. on March 23rd. So we are hosting this year. So
We are hosting. I am the chairperson of the spelling bee this year. Anybody else wants that? You just let me know. Can we officially welcome Dr. Long to the table?
Would be
I
lovely.
did.
Okay.
While you guys were working on Zoom,
Yes.
Oh,
I formally
I
announced
apologize.
welcoming Dr.
I
Long
was-
to the
We
table.
welcome
sorry.
you.
well,
Thank you so
hi,
much.
thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much.
We're thrilled to have you.
All right, and then we will move on to our formal presentation of the comprehensive plan for 2026 to 2029.
We're working through it. I see it on Zoom. We just need the gentleman with them is the project manager who did this. He's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
All right, we're up. All right, outstanding. Okay, so Dr. Vitale and I in July had a meeting about how we could start our comprehensive plan, and she told me to wait, which is unique coming from her. And it's also something that I honestly was dreading. It was something that throughout my career, I tried to avoid at a previous district when I was a principal. I had my assistant principals go to the meetings. When in my first central office position, I arrived after the comprehensive plan was done and left before they had to do it again to join you all. And I got here and Dr. Vitale said, we have our comp plan due next year. But what I can say is for dreading it going in, this has been one of the best things that I was able to do thus far in my career. I truly enjoyed going through this process and looking at our district's strengths and needs and working on a plan how we can best serve our students, our teachers, our administrators, and our community. Next slide, please. So to start off with every comprehensive plan, there is a steering committee. This is not something that is done alone in an office. There were a lot of people who contributed to this document and who made this document what it is. So we had central office and building level administrators, teachers, support staff, school board members, community members, parents, and most importantly, our students. Next slide, please. So the main point of the comprehensive plan is to list the mission and the vision of the district because that is truly our North Star. So our comprehensive plan is how we're going to continue to fulfill our mission and our vision, but that is really what is driving this entire process. Next slide, please. And then we went through and spoke about the educational values of our students in relationship to our mission and vision, of our staff, of our administration, of our parents, and of our community. So we went through each of those groups and we identified the values that relate back to our mission and our vision statement. Next slide, please. After that, we completed a needs assessment based on the Future Ready PA Index. We identified 2 strengths and 2 challenges. So the strengths that we identified was our college and career measures, as well as academic growth expectations in English language arts literature. Our challenges were academic growth expectations in mathematics and algebra 1, as well as our percent of proficient and advanced students in English language arts and literature. Next slide, please. Then we went and we reviewed our related academics, equity considerations, our designated school plans, our supplemental plans, and the conditions for leadership, teaching, and learning to identify additional strengths and challenges. And through that process, we identified 2 additional challenges, one being the recognition, appreciation, and acceptance of individual and cultural differences while striving to develop a global perspective, as well as an effective foundation to be established with the academic, career, and personal social development to promote success in all areas. Next slide, please. So then we went in and we analyzed our strengths and our challenges, and we chose 2 specific challenges that we would be focusing on for the next 3 years for our district. The first being to support schools in implementing evidence-based instructional strategies and programs to ensure all students have access to rigorous, standards-aligned instruction. And secondly, the recognition, appreciation, and acceptance of individual and cultural differences while striving to develop a global perspective. Next slide, please. So then we had to set goals. So this is truly what is driving our district. So for area 1, which is continuous improvement of instruction, we set the 3-year goal that by June of 2029, the district will demonstrate measurable improvement in instructional effectiveness as evidenced by professional evaluation data, classroom observation trends, and educator self-assessments reflecting in growth in the use of high-impact teaching strategies. Next slide, please. And to do this, we are going to work with a company called the Ongoing Assessment Project, which will allow our teachers to grow as math teachers. So what the Ongoing Assessment Project does is it really focuses in on formative assessment, and it allows teachers to quickly assess where students are at, and it allows them to specifically tailor their instruction to help get our students to where they need to be in the field of mathematics. This is not a program or what people would call a purchased curriculum. It is none of that. It is intensive professional development to work with teachers on the best practices of mathematics instruction. And then it's coaching sessions to answer their questions and see them doing it in real time so that we can have a real impact on our students. One of the reasons that we chose this group to go with is our elementary school teachers specifically have very, very little informal mathematics training. In fact, they get 1 math methods course in their entire undergraduate education. And they're expected to be math teachers to our kindergarten through 5th grade students. And to be honest, a colleague of mine did research, and most elementary school teachers became elementary school teachers because they didn't care for math. And they wanted to work with young children. So we have to give our teachers the tools that they can truly be mathematics teachers and teach numeracy with the same level of confidence that they teach literacy. So in using this program and moving forward with the professional development for our teachers over the next 3 years, we are confident that we will see an increase in student performance and growth in the areas of mathematics because our teachers are going to truly be able to tailor our children's education to what it needs to be. Next slide, please.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
How much did we change from years past? Was this a full rewrite? Mission and vision has changed. So yes, we rewrote our mission and vision statement. We presented that this is Rebecca's question. We presented that, I believe in August
August,
and
September.
September's meeting, to the board. So that's embedded in that. And then this is a brand new comprehensive plan. So every 3 years you do a brand new one. We are not rolling over any of those goals. Sorry, go ahead.
All right.
I just want to say something about this too. I was on the, obviously, on the steering committee, as was Michael, and we both laughed because we had the same, negative feelings you had about the comprehensive plan. Having been on it as a teacher, and then obviously Michael continuing as a principal. And, we're like, oh, this is boring as heck, but, because we're retired and, it makes sense for obviously educators to be on the committee. So we were. And being part of it, it was the first time, obviously, I had heard about OGAP as well. And I reached out to a former math teacher of our school district who now is working as an instructional coach and leader in not our IU, but a different IU, just to kind of get her opinions and, so forth. And she's trained in it now also. And
Is it ID 19?
yeah. And and like, and she and I spent a little bit of time talking about it, and it's amazing. And I have to say, as an education major in English, I was allowed to take in my undergraduate the elementary math courses that I had to take two, but the elementary math courses instead of like having to go and take, calc or whatever in college, only because I was an education major. And I thought, well, I'm going to be a high school English teacher, so really, what does it matter? I can do my checkbook, So, so I took it, and you making that comment, you know what I mean, at the beginning, I think is really important because when we go to college, things that, we learn and then become teachers aren't always necessarily, exactly what we find that we need and that we have to, accomplish, obviously, when we have children in front of us. So, kudos, all around, and first recognizing that, two, finding, and knowing about this particular program, and the fact that it's, again, about teachers, giving them the skills. And, it's so important, like just in listening to them today, that you gave them, the grand adventure. And as Maggie said, and I'm glad that she did, prior to, her coming on board, the philosophy before, especially in elementary, was this very programmed kind of learning. And, I always said, well, that's why our scores are going down. Haven't you noticed that? We go to that and, 3 years later, look what's happening. So, to give back the power where it belongs, to the teachers and doing it this way, instead of through program learning is excellent. And where you're going to go with the rest of the slides, whatever, but I just want to say that even the very specific goals and the way they were written was so much better than our plans before, because they're something that is actually achievable, doable. You can see the results, as opposed to, we'll, go up, 0.5 in, our score on PSSAs, which, can that really happen? You know what I mean? Kind of, mentality. So, I just want to say, great job all around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So our second goal is in the area of social and emotional learning. And our goal is that by June of 2029, the district will show measurable growth in the consistency and quality of SEL implementation as evidenced by staff surveys, walkthrough data, and improvements in school climate indicators. Next slide, please. So what we are looking to do is to collaborate with residents, education to provide ongoing professional development, to embed social and emotional learning into the everyday practice of all teachers in the district. And you heard that from our kindergarten teachers this evening, and how they had to teach their students how to sit next to one another and how to work with one another. And that is what we want to do through every level. So at the high school level, it will be, how can we have a debate with each other on a topic where we strongly disagree, and we have polite and common courtesy in our discourse with one another. So what we're looking to do is really instill positive humanity back into the lives of our students. We want to invest back into our students and teach them how to deal with difficult situations that they are going to be in for their entire lives. And we want it to be purposeful. We don't want to sneak it in on students. We want teachers to say, okay, we are going to have a debate today, and you are going to disagree. And these are the steps that you are going to take when you disagree, and walk them through each aspect of the exercise that they are about to go through in a math class. Okay, you are going to be partners. This is how you are going to work with one another when you are partners in this class, and explain it out and purposefully instruct them so that you're building that capacity within each and every one of our students.
And it's not just a program that we do on.
It is,
Wednesday
this is
morning.
not a program.
And we're
Again,
taking away from the class instruction. I mean, that was also, like, when we did those programs, that was also part of the frustration with teachers, because not only were we doing that in isolation, but you were also then taking away from instructional time, where this is embedded in instructional time. And truthfully, many good teachers, you know what I mean, did this naturally, I want to say. Do you know what I
right,
mean?
and
Particularly, if you were, I'm always going to say social studies and English because of debates and those kinds of things, setting up the civil discourse. But to recognize it as a skill, and to recognize that it's something that we need as a society, you know what I mean? And we're in public schools. I mean, that's like, our purpose, and then it just becomes part of what, teachers do every day within whatever subject area they have is great.
and again, you'll see a theme with, from Dr. Vitale's leadership down. It's not about a program. It's about the people.
Exactly.
Um,
That's what education is.
And again, we are going to build the CASEL standards into our curricula as we're doing a rewrite. We're starting with social studies next year, and this will be fully built in. But again, it's coming in and working with teachers, teaching them what this is all about, teaching them how to embed this into what they do every day, so that it's not another thing. It's not, we're going to have social lessons every other Wednesday during fourth period. No, it's going to be that this is who we are, this is what we stand for, and this is how we're going to move forward. Next slide, please. So what about test scores? You didn't hear anything about test scores in the comprehensive plan, and the comprehensive plan for the community is posted on our website. The proposed comprehensive plan is posted on our website. It is also, there is also a link to the actual comprehensive plan as well as to this presentation on the EPR agenda. And we would be asking that at our next board meeting that we have the comprehensive plan up for board approval so that it can be submitted to the state. And if you go through and see every page, you are not going to see goals about test scores. But you don't see test scores in our mission and our vision. And the impact of student safety, sense of belonging, continued best practices in instruction, test scores will rise. Test scores will take care of themselves when we're doing everything right day in and day out.
I'm gonna read, what written for me. Also, this implementation of social emotional learning makes so much more sense than what I've seen in years past. I love how we're empowering our students to identify the social emotional development and growth.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. And I will say, the best part, no offense to anyone in this room.
Uh-oh.
The
I know exactly what he's gonna say.
The-
I'm gonna write it down right here.
the best part about this entire process was with our student steering committee. So our students had their voices heard with every step of this along the way. And I got to meet on a Zoom with all of our students represented from each of our 10 schools. And their level of understanding and maturity and having a disagreement about a topic that we were discussing was unbelievable. And in our last meeting, a young man from JTL spoke up and said, you know, I think that online and computer-based learning should only happen at the elementary school so that they get an understanding of how to use it. And by the time that you get to middle school and especially in high school, we should be actually learning with situations and hands-on, and we should actually be doing what we're learning. And then our student representative from Smithfield respectfully disagreed and said, I have an attention span of about a minute. And when you put me on a computer, I'm going right off of what I'm supposed to do and I'm finding a game. He goes, I want hands-on learning. I want to be involved. He's like, and then our high school representative from High School North our board rep stepped in and said, I agree with him, and built off of it. It was just such an awesome, and I use that word because it was just so impactful. It was really, truly a highlight of my professional career.
Students know what they need.
And they were not afraid to tell me.
Yeah, just have to ask them. Mhm.
Next slide. So are there any questions regarding our comprehensive plan?
I do not have any.
Just job well done. I think this is great. I really see the district moving in a very positive direction. It was very exciting for me to see how excited the teachers were. It was like very palpable, and hearing that you really took into consideration the students' mindset and what they want is really important to me. So I'm very excited to hear about all these things and see it in action as well.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, we're gonna move on then to elementary trimesters.
So before we move
Oh,
on, I just
sorry.
have to say
We
that
settled.
many districts take a comprehensive plan. You have to do it every 3 years, and it's just a check in a box. You're gonna do it, it's gonna sit on the shelf. Andy and I, and he kind of alluded to it, we decided we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right, and we're going to do it well. He has embodied the collaborative experience and made sure that we listened to the people we serve, and we serve our teachers and our students. And it's funny how exciting it is to listen to his voice when he talks about the time with the kids, because I haven't seen him that excited in years. But the reality was, he looked at what our needs are, and yes, we need to perform better in academics, but the reality is if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we also need to know how to interact with each other as humans. I feel like this comp plan is the core of what we need to focus on. It supports the educator and the students alike. And I believe 3 years from now, we're going to see considerable gains across the board, because we are really very intentionally focused on not doing too much, not doing it too fast, but being very, very focused and strategic of what our North Star is. And it's the experience that our students have and the support that our teachers get. So kudos, impressive.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, elementary trimesters.
Okay, so over the summer, was it, Dr. Long? The elementary principals and I had met, and they asked about the fact if we could move away from quarters as our marking periods and move to a trimester system. So it's not an easy process and it's not a quick process, but we started writing down some pros and cons of that shift. We also, as you know, through the policy committee, looked at our policy in regard to our student grade reporting policy, and we made some shifts with that. And we're making the recommendation to move to trimesters. Some of the reasons are that it allows more time for teachers to assess their students, to get grades and see what the students understand. It also helps our specialists and our specials teachers who don't see students every day. The teachers can provide more feedback during the 60 days rather than the 45. They're not rushed to get grades in. It follows better with our benchmark testing windows, where we test, get an initial benchmark at the beginning of the year, test at mid-year, and then test at the end of the year. So with a mid-year test, they can give the results back in that second trimester at day 90, and they're actually able to communicate with the families. It follows along with parent-teacher conferences. It allows for more in-depth opportunities for instruction, inquiry, and demonstration of skills, increases the opportunities of reteaching skills, and with longer grading periods, schools can also space out benchmarks and assessments more strategically so that we're not always spending time assessing students and we actually get to spend time teaching them.
And the only other thing I wanted to mention, because when I first, heard and was reading over everything, and we discussed obviously in our, pre-meeting was we put the agenda together. I just wanted to say, like, at first I thought to myself, trimesters, how are parents going to react to that in terms of the first meeting, being, longer. And then, really in thinking about it and talking about it, and I just wanted to say this so everyone kind of hears it, because of the way we have changed technologically in discussing and having information to parents immediately, through all different methods from, kindergarten, through 12th grade, the different systems that teachers use and schools use, parents are more aware of what's going on and how their students are progressing academically, at least weekly, or bi-weekly. So that, I guess I want to say fear, of having, perhaps a little bit, less of a communication in terms of something like this formal really is not in my mind anyway, is not a concern. because, you can reach out so easily, parents can reach out and teachers are reaching out as well. So plus we have MTSS, and so many other things in place for students if they are not, succeeding academically. So I just wanted to kind of say that it's beyond just like the typical report card slash, marking period. It's just, I think everyone is so used to having 4 marking periods. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having grown up with that themselves,
Yep.
that, it sometimes comes across as, what are they doing? So, but the fact that we are changing, we have changed in terms of the way we communicate with parents.
So, Ms. Cottrell, if I could share with you, so if you look at the start of our school year for our elementary folks this year. So we started the year the week before Labor Day. And our students came in on Monday and we had a 4-day week. Then we had a 4-day weekend. Then we had another 4-day week. So as we spoke and discussed, okay, when are we going to take our initial benchmark assessment with our students? Are we going to do it in the first 4 days? Nope. We have to teach our children how to be school students again. We have to teach them the routines of the building. We have to get them acquainted with their teachers. Are we going to assess them after a 4-day weekend, the first week of school? Well, I don't think that data will be very accurate because they're going to have to reacclimate to school, and then we can get started in teaching them. So we waited to do our initial benchmarks to the 3rd week of school. And then from there, there's everything else that goes in. So we were already days into that 45 of the quarter. And our teachers then had 30 days to get grades for our elementary school kiddos. Where here, if we follow that exact same schedule, our teachers have 50 days to be able to truly assess the students in front of them before they're giving a grade home for their families.
Makes sense.
How will this be communicated to parents? And is this like, I'm assuming this is a standard across other districts and so this is, what people are doing now. And how are you going to communicate that to parents? Like the way you just explained it makes perfect sense to me because having kids in school, they come in for 4 days, they're out for 4 days, I have to retrain them to get in the bed on time. So like, I get that, that makes a lot of sense to me, but are we going to explain that to parents like that so they understand this whole process?
Yes, that's going to be going out from the principals to all of the families as we're beginning the school year and why we're shifting to that. And that's really another reason why we wanted to bring it to the committee tonight so that we could have our first public meeting on it. We are also working on our assessment calendar for next year. So at the last board meeting, the board approved the district calendar. That calendar is now sitting in curriculum instruction office, and we are meeting with our teachers first to identify which assessments we need to be taking, and then also to lay out that calendar. So by the end of the school year, the testing calendar will be shared with families and with teachers.
Excellent. Thank you. Rebecca, do you have any questions? Okay, then we're going to move on to our course plans.
Good evening. So we have the last round of course plans that were from August. These were the courses that run for year long and the midway point was January. So the teachers wrapped up their courses that they're going to be teaching for the rest of the year. So we presented those on that document. And I also put in addition, our education cohort, we are teaching a Northampton class. So we are our teachers are the professors for that course. It's called Education for All. It's one of the standard 4 courses that all education majors have to take. We collaborated with NCC. They had a liaison that supported the teacher throughout the semester. And we developed our own course plan, the two teachers, Barry Kramis and Maria Francois. And we are really excited to present that to you guys tonight. On there, you'll see our students and how they did field experience when they went, what core curriculum we're teaching them. And it's really awesome if you get a chance to look at that and see that we are truly preparing our teachers that we hope come back to work for us. And knowing that they're trained with the East Stroudsburg mindset in mind, in addition to the content that they're learning in school.
Do you want me to comment on each one that we have, like the English language department and future educator cohort, or are you going to like talk about them separately?
They're just the final, and we presented the original one, so if you have any questions.
Okay,
And
so I should just speak to them?
Yep.
Okay. I'll start with the future educator cohort, since that's the one that you did bring up. I just wanted to make sure, because I had emailed you that we didn't have access to it.
Mhm.
Did you give access to the rest of the board members besides myself?
I will share the access now.
Okay, great, thank you. Because you want
Sorry
to
about
look
that.
at them. No, that's fine. And I just want to say kudos, well, before we even, I probably should have just started with the first one that just says, cover sheet, and the actual setup of the writing of the curriculum and each of the components of it. It's the best I've ever seen. That's all. I mean, if I were a teacher coming out of college and I were to be given this document, I could teach. You know what I mean? It's clear. I mean, from the scope and sequence to the timeline, the essential questions. I mean, just when you so clearly, have the essential questions, and then, after that, like the standards, et cetera. It's so clear. I don't keep saying the word clear, but it does. It's just, so I just want to say well done in terms of finally, and I know I've said this a million times, and people I'm sure are sick of me saying it, why I ran purely really was for this, that we wrote curriculum and that it made sense, and that anybody coming in could look at it and could do it. So, that's the first part of it. Second, the science courses, and having, gone through the two, obviously, that had to be redone, as we talked about. I mean, so much better
Mhm.
than the first. I guess I'm asking, will the other science courses kind of mirror this a little
So-
bit more? Like, I know it's done already, but,
I'm actually really excited to say that our teachers for science have been on a whirlwind,
yeah.
as you know. But I just have to commend them, like their resiliency and their ability to do what's right for instruction and better their own teaching practices and collaborate as a team has been phenomenal. If you notice, we did pull off the intermediate plans because the department chairs advocated on behalf of the teachers and said we could do better.
Yeah.
Like now that we have a year of understanding, we want to make this a better resource. So we had the department chair schedule a meeting with us, and they said, we know we could do this better. Now that we went through trainings and we learned what SEALS is, this is how we want to restructure. And we have them coming down on Tuesday to use the resources, use all the stuff that they did, but now make it a better course plan that could help guide our teachers. And the high school is working on their general science one. So, but then through them looking at that, the earth and space, they met on the PD day, and the IU came in and showed them the contingent, and we talked about it and how they reflected on their own teaching practices. And they said, well, we could take these standards and we could incorporate them in what we're already doing. And they worked on how they're going to improve their instruction. So these course plans, as we have our teachers keep working on it and really understanding the mind shift in the SEAL standards, it's gonna be phenomenal. By every year, they're just gonna get better.
I mean,
So
and you
they-
can see it. I mean, you know what I mean, in these two plans, so readily. And if you remember, I don't even know if you were in this position, to be honest with, when we had the intermediate teachers here, and they were so honest, that, Steels was so new and didn't even, know what they were and, and what that meant for them. And then, all of you, as a group then really made it part of professional development, for them to get that training, to get that kind of understanding, to then to be able to put it into practice. So, and thank you for saying kudos to them, because I concur, the amount of work that they have put into it really shows,
Mhm.
And the only other comment I wanted to make was in the one assessment section, it said, all courses can provide an end of course exam. And this is a new topic, so I don't expect you to answer that now. And I would have even said it earlier, except I just, really just got those and read it. You know, as a district, we've gone through many philosophies through the years of having midterm and final exams, not having them because of testing, then maybe taking them out of 10th, but this was high school, taking them out of 10th grade because they, obviously had keystones. So just having seen that, my only two, questions, thoughts for the future, not necessarily the has to be answered now, is it says, can provide. So if, and these were two AP courses.
Yep.
So obviously I would just say if it's happening south, it should happen north, whatever the decision, in terms of a final exam. And, kind of moving forward, what will we be thinking about exams, in terms of courses?
Certainly. I can speak to that. And as you know, Mrs. Catrillo, nothing is anywhere by accident. We are purposeful with everything that we do. And the science teacher specifically brought this up in a meeting with me last year when they were working on both their curriculum and their course plans. And my words to them are the words that I'm going to utter to you tonight. We're not ready yet. When we do things, we are going to do them right, and we are going to do them well. And the steel standards are so new and so dynamic and require a complete paradigm shift in the mind of the teacher. The steel standards no longer just talk about content, which many of us in the non-tested world only worried about content and not about skills. There is actual pedagogy in the steel standards in how teachers should question and teach their children. So they need time to become masters of these standards, and for an outstanding 20+ year veteran teacher to come to me and say that they felt like a first-year teacher again, in that I don't know how to plan for these standards, but they're getting better every day. When we've mastered what we need to do in terms of delivering the instruction with steel standards, then we will look to build midterm and final exams that are universal to the district, that they are a common midterm and final exam that all teachers teaching a subject will administer to their students. And until we are ready for that, we want it in the curriculum and the course plan that we can do it, but not that we will.
Excellent. And then I'm assuming that will move forward with all other disciplines,
area.
not just.
Every area.
Not just, okay. I do want to go back to two things that just came up with Rebecca. One, I'm sorry, is going further back. When she said, will this course get college credit? She's referring to the future educators, and that we know is a yes.
Yes.
Because that's part of the NCC. And then her comment after my comment about the way the whole curriculum is put together. She says, I finally understand the course documents, LOL. So,
But I also want to
share
give
that.
credit that the big change in that has to go to the teachers because when there wasn't a template and Dr. Vitale and Andy went and talked with the department chairs, they promised them that we were going to get a user-friendly template and we were going to do it right. And we had a group of teachers in the science department that rose to the occasion and they sat down and we just hammered it out. And they were so excited when they were done. We called Andy that day. We're like, could you come on the call? We want you to see like
But
what
I'm
they did.
assuming I mean, with the, obviously taking out the steals part, the actual though document itself is what we will be using moving forward with all of the departments.
It is modified for different departments because each department has its own needs.
Right.
But the template itself was created by our science department to specifically meet their needs. And then what we did in CNI is we took their template and their work and we set that as our new standard for every department.
And
So our
they
science department led the way.
And they actually
definitely
went and
kudos.
shared it with the other people writing the curriculum at that time. And they asked if they could use that template. So the teachers throughout, that was in the process of the high school curriculum rewrite. And then we saw it work at intermediate and it just became very user-friendly document. And the teachers keep saying it's their unit plan now.
Right.
And
Well, it is, and that's what the beauty of it is. And yet there's still so much teacher autonomy in it. I mean, that's what's so beautiful about it. Like as an, you know, we say as the new teacher, you know, coming in, this is the document you're going to get. Now you also get a mentor, you know what I mean, who will help you through other things. But when you get that, you can see, okay, this is the unit, you know, these are the questions that, you know, that I have to then prepare for so that students, you know, then kind of quote unquote know the answers. How much time, you know, from our scope and sequence, from the text, what chapters or whatever, you know, are being used. But then yet when it came down to, it said like, I want to say how many and what kind of assessments, but yet the teacher can make the assessments his or herself, you know, and then the same thing with the activities, you know, in this case, an experiment, you know, whatever it was, but what you want that experiment to be, you know what I mean, is up to you. So, and that's, you know, and that's, as we said before, I think Maggie said it so beautifully, that teaching is both a science and an art. And what this curriculum does is really lays out the science, if you will, which like a new teacher then can gravitate to, but yet leaves the art, you know, there in terms like of the formats there, but what you will do with it is your own. And that's what makes education exciting, not only for the teacher, but for the students, you know, and, you know, that's really the beauty of the whole thing. So thank you so much. That was, you know, that was great. And I think she might have had one more. No, okay, that was it for her. Okay, and under the English learner ones, a couple of them weren't in viewing mode.
Okay,
They were
I will
in,
share.
they were in like an editing mode, and
Yep.
I didn't want anybody to,
I will fix
you
that.
know, just, you know, mess something up by mistake.
Yeah.
You know, that can happen, so,
No, that's really
Okay.
important. The teachers
Yeah.
would not be happy with me.
yeah. I think it may have only been one, to be honest, I'm not sure, but it definitely was one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, all right, so any questions you're getting at, course plans? Okay, all right, then, from there, we're going to the English curriculum writing update.
All right.
Yay.
I know this is near and dear to your heart.
It is.
Our English teachers have been working extremely hard. They are very far along in the process. And as we try to do with the committee is we try not to overload you with things. So a lot of the teachers for our core curriculum do have their curriculum completed, and we're currently going through the review process with them. But to start this off, what we wanted to do is start you with our potential book list.
Sure. So this was attached, I believe. We
Yeah.
have a list of
Yeah.
new books. So
Mhm.
we really encourage the teachers, you know, we really stress this is your time to do the thing that you think will have the most impact, right? And we really encourage them to keep the things that they loved and that they knew were working.
Mhm.
But also try to incorporate new things, new voices, more representative voices and so on. And they really just did such a wonderful job working together. The other thing we really pushed them to do was to get in the same, arena in terms of what the grades were teaching. So what we found was that a grade at South compared to that same grade at North would be teaching completely different things, right? So we stress the point of if someone comes through the East Stroudsburg Area School District, there should not be this massive difference in what happened, right? So the teachers really work together to get each grade. We said, try to narrow it down to 3 novels, for example, in any given unit, so that there's at least that little bit of choice, teacher autonomy, yes, but a ballpark, right? To get in the same ballpark. So they just, that's a negotiation, right? Because
Yes, it
everybody
is.
has the things that they love, and the teachers just did such an amazing job listening to each other, looking at the standards. We started with the standards, tying what they knew would fit into the standards, and then looking at what was left. So that we're still in the middle of that part. But the new book list is a list of books that they came up with to either add to what they had or totally replace things. So we've made our way through a good part of these. And there's a few that we're still ironing out. So this is not necessarily the final, but it's pretty good. And there's a lot here and a lot of different genres and a lot of different voices. So
Very
we're
cool,
really
so,
happy.
I have to
Yeah.
say.
And
And
something that,
Kudos to the teachers for
Yes.
just
Yes.
not dialing it in and
Yep.
not just relying on their comfort level, right? Like,
Correct.
Yeah.
as
Sure.
many English teachers sitting at this table, there's a comfort level about teaching a novel or a text that you love, and they really are pushing it
Mhm.
and pushing themselves. So it's impressive.
and I think one of the things that Marilyn brought to the team that I loved was that every single English teacher has been part of the process. So we always have our course writers that we pay to get it to the finish line and really be the ones that are meeting with us and hashing through some of the details. But on the PD day, we have teams that are banned. So if you taught predominantly ninth grade, you're part of the ninth grade team. And they sat down as a team and got feedback from the whole department in that grade level to make sure that it's representative, not just of our writers of 2 or 3 teachers. Everyone had a say at one point. So I thought that getting that voice and that buy-in that Maryland was so adamant that we got was such a key element to making this successful, I think. And getting that really vast list of new books that
The teachers were amazing.
Yeah, obviously having worked with so many of them, I knew that they could do it. And, really proud of them. All of our teachers are just amazing. I do have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
We trust all of you implicitly, but sometimes, board members like to peruse the books ahead of time, research them and or read them. So I appreciate you giving us the new list. Do we have a time frame? Do you think of when the curriculum might come to us? Because then we only have like the month, obviously. So just so I get a sense of how much time, if, myself, Shanika, whomever else wanted to, read these books or look at them,
Well,
about like what time
Ms.
frame are we
Ms.
thinking
Catrillo,
about?
these are pretty much the book list, which is why I wanted to get this to you
Yes.
now, so that you, should you want to read any of these, I know Dr. Vitale is reading them all,
Mhm.
and
1 or 2 left. I'm close.
I said is reading.
I know, I'm so close. I haven't.
And then every once in a while, they'll, what about this one?
Yeah.
Uh,
Book showed up in my office last week and I was like, okay, hold on.
But we wanted to get this to you early because we do want to give teachers the opportunity to have choice and go beyond a single novel for each unit.
And I appreciate that.
And so I wanted to get you this list this month so that when we bring the formal curriculum to you, you've had time to digest this.
When
I
are
did bring
When are
you,
you thinking that will be? That's.
well, I
are we talking
originally
June?
gave you a timeline last summer, and I said, you're going to have a curriculum by April, and then we're gonna have course plans by June. And I think I was a little ambitious.
Okay, that's fine.
Because when you do something right, you don't rush it.
I
And
agree.
that's the whole reason for this.
Agreed.
So I am hoping that by June, I will have you a curriculum, and that by August, I will have you course plans.
So June is really the.
When
book
we would
reading,
be,
Because,
And then if anybody wants books, Ms. Goldstrand is amazing.
Yeah.
I emailed her a list and within an hour, she's like, all right, come pick up. And she even gives them to you in a bag.
I know. She's our South librarian.
Okay.
So you would know. What was I gonna say? Again, maybe more for, Shanika to know, what happens is the curriculum we approve. So any of the books, obviously, therefore, we are approving. The course plans can come later because they're shown to us, but they don't have to get our approval for them because they're more fluid, so that kind of like the teachers say, they teach something and then the next, after doing it, you want to change something, here or there. The course plans can reflect that. And that's why I, asked in terms of us, knowing the books. The quote unquote then old book list, those books, I guess that, they're going to be keeping.
Yes.
Would we be able to get a list of those as well? I mean, for me,
Sure.
obviously not an issue, but maybe for the other board members who, may want to.
yeah, we didn't remove anything.
No,
So
we have it on-
nothing was removed.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, well, that's a lot.
So
we
we
have-
kept the old
Yeah.
and we added to it.
Okay. Are we using anthologies at all? Like, are we keeping the ones we had? And if so, like, how are they gonna, I mean, I know we're trying to go full text,
Mhm.
okay? But obviously we have poetry and short stories. So, and I did see, a short story,
Collection.
yeah,
on-
collection, yeah, Whispers of Wanderlust. So are we still keeping with those anthologies or not? I was just kind of curious of where we were standing with that.
The one on the list is the only new one.
Okay,
Teachers are using a lot of poetry and short stories that they already had. So whatever they have, they're using if they fit in with the themes.
Mhm.
Our main focus was, the novels. I mean, the novels are always the things that are
Yes.
facing the public, and we really wanted to iron out that list first.
okay.
We told the teachers that they can fill in the shorter pieces
Mhm.
kind of as needed, but we do have all of that on charts. So
Okay.
we have the old list that exists from the past, and since that had already been approved, we just assumed that was still
Mhm.
approved.
Yeah.
We also have a chart of all the things that they are currently intending to use going forward, so we can get you all of that, so you can see everything.
And the only reason why I say that is I know that it kind of got loose, through
Mhm.
20, 25 years of not having been rewritten. And with the onset of technology,
Mhm.
that, teacher A could go on and pick this particular poem or this short story or this essay, from wherever, on the internet, so to speak, and use it. And then teacher B did not, do
Mhm.
that or had a different one. And so once again, if we're trying to kind of keep the, the student who's coming out of East
Mhm.
Stroudsburg having the same experience, and even though novels, true, are probably the ones that get the most scrutiny, from the public, we do know that there are essays and short stories and poetry that can also cause controversy, not that that's a bad thing. Sometimes I like to, cause controversy. That makes for good debating and discussion, but that, you know what I mean? But that
Yeah.
being said,
And those conversations are happening now because a couple of the groups that have the framework really kind of knocked out and approved through our department,
Mhm.
they are now starting to think of the course plan because their main goal is to make sure that the assignments and the activities that they're going to be doing for their instruction mirrors the standard of what they're trying to get out.
Yeah.
So the teachers wanted to make sure that that list on the right of the curriculum framework, when you talk about like the assessments and that aspect, it's not just the rinse and repeat on each unit.
Right.
So now they're thinking through it, they're having those conversations, they're talking about building vocabulary lists. So as why Andy just mentioned why it's taking so long is because they're looking at everything with such a fine
Mhm.
detail. So as they're moving through it and they're getting to some of the short stories, they're talking about how does that connect to the big picture? How does that tie back to the central question within that unit?
Right.
And making sure that everything is no longer 4 different folders of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just that one unit that explains how it all ties together.
I like that fact that you're saying it's not, rinse and repeat, because that, if you look at former curricula, that's exactly what it was. Have we then made a decision yet in terms of, like, I had heard themes and units? Are we going thematically based? Are we going genre based? Are we still doing American and Brit literature? Are we doing it in the same years? Like those kinds of decisions and conversations. Have we come to any conclusions, or are we still in conversations about that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the teachers really hammered that out. So I want to say it's mostly thematic based.
Definitely.
And then the teachers kind of filled in, as we said, they might have a larger anchor text, or at the same time, though, some teachers, some grades might have a unit that's the drama unit, right? So
Right, of course.
it's a mixture of themes and some genres. 12th grade is no longer officially British literature,
Okay.
but there is still some Britlit text in there. So they
Okay.
just really.
So that's going to be thematic then, most
Yes,
likely
they
as well.
really opened it up, and that really allowed them to
I mean,
incorporate more.
It has to be,
voices.
as I've said, I mean, and I taught British literature for quite a bit of my career. It's too much. First of all, where we are as a community, okay, has changed. And so the canon, you
Mhm.
know what I mean, which most of us older English teachers have been schooled in, is not necessarily the same anymore, nor should it be. So I think that's one thing that's really, I mean, I respect the canon, and I do think we should have those kind of traditional texts as well. But as you've mentioned before, in the new list,
Mhm.
obviously reflects that as well. But you can't do it. It's just too much time.
Right.
Even now, American literature, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's no way. It used to be all chronological. You just can't fit all of that in, and that's not. And the point, as Andy mentioned before, it's not about content; it's about skills. And it always, especially in secondary, it always was about
Mhm.
content, and, the last at least 15 years, we really said, no, like it's skills,
Yeah.
and so it doesn't matter really which literature you use
Right.
because you're teaching the skill. But nonetheless, so that's why I wanted to ask that
Mhm.
question.
Yeah, and
Because and I think that was probably almost even more difficult than picking the text,
right.
from an English teacher's
Yes.
perspective, for sure.
Well, one really neat thing that a lot of the grades did was they're going to do 2 texts, so maybe one base text and then excerpts. So they'll take the traditional piece from the canon,
Mhm.
but then pair it with something new and do one of them as a full text, the other one is excerpts to compare. And so
Excellent.
now there's.
And
that
that's, I mean,
extra
that's a
lens.
standard,
Yeah.
I mean, on
Yes.
every single thing is your comparison and your
Mhm.
contrast and synthesizing and all that,
Yeah.
so it works for sure. Okay, great, thank you. I'm sorry, like, really was very loud today.
We knew this one was near and dear to your
Yeah,
heart.
this whole the whole day was great. Excellent, thank you.
I think it's a nice way for the CNI team, though, to share their work.
Oh,
So,
I
It's a
think
good
they
journey to
should.
go down every month.
Mhm. Make sure there was anything else. Oh, there is. Yeah, okay. Yes. All right. All right, then. Is there any public participation online? No? Great, thank you. All right, then I will need a motion for a recommendation for consideration by the, no, not Finance Committee. We don't need that for comprehensive plan.
But for the board.
Yeah, but yes. So we just need a motion to bring the comprehensive plan to the board for approval.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
seconding
you,
it.
Thank you, Rebecca, for seconding it.
Wait, did we
She's
just hear
on.
Rebecca?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
You heard me?
I think, yeah, I even saw her.
Yeah, we
There-
can.
Hello, finally, we got it working, yay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you and see
It
you.
took the whole meeting for you to hear me?
We're so excited.
Yay.
It's so
Hi,
good to see you.
Rebecca. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now our next meeting is Thursday, March 5th, same time, 5:30 here, or if you need to via Zoom. Okay, and motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second it. Thanks, Rebecca.
Now you can second it, Rebecca.
I can